The Maple Leafs had an expensive day today when it came to punishment from the NHL, and it was announced that the Leafs' number one defenseman, Morgan Rielly, is set to return. We will break down each of the fines, what they mean, why they happened, and we will discuss the fit of Morgan Rielly and how this works with him coming back into this lineup. What's up, Leafs fans, and welcome back to Leafs Digest. If you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button on this video. You can also turn on notifications by clicking that bell so you get notified every single time that we go live post-game or more videos like this drop on this channel. So make sure to hit subscribe, hit that bell to turn on notifications, and while you're at it, hit that like button on this video. You can also drop a comment to let us know your thoughts and let me know how you feel about Morgan Rielly's return to play and how you see him fitting in here. So let's start with the first pieces of news that came out today. The two fines that were handed out to the Toronto Maple Leafs from the NHL, amounting to $125K total. One for the Toronto Maple Leafs specifically, which comes in at $100,000, and one for Sheldon Keefe on his own, which comes in at $25,000. So let's start first and foremost with the $25K that is awarded to Sheldon Keefe. Awarded, an interesting word to use there, but Sheldon Keefe was fined $25,000 today by the NHL for, and quote, demeaning conduct directed at the officials. Now, essentially what they were saying is, Sheldon Keefe going absolutely bananas on the bench. The NHL didn't like that because that publicly embarrassed the referees. I'm going to say a few things on this. As far as the fine goes, sure. If that's in the rules, that's in the rules. That's what it is. It's not like these guys don't have $25K to shell out, and I'm sure the Toronto Maple Leafs and Leafs fans everywhere would be willing to fire up a little GoFundMe for Sheldon Keefe to pay for that one after some of the brutal officiating that we've seen. But as far as this goes with Sheldon Keefe, I don't really care. It is what it is. You get the $25K fine, and we move on. I think, though, it was justified. The officiating in the NHL, not just for the Leafs, is very, very poor. We have seen it in all games with all teams for the past few seasons now, where it has taken a steep decline in quality of refereeing. I think a lot of this has to do with the mismanagement of the game by George Peros in the NHL office, heading up the Department of Player Safety. Personally, I think he's unfit for the job. I have some other choice words for him, which I will not use on this show, but I just think it's not good enough. I think that their management of the game and everything that goes on is not good enough. I think that leads into confusion and questions and misunderstandings from the referees, which leads into poor officiating that goes out onto the ice. They don't know what to call, they don't know when to call it, or they don't know how to call it. The amount of missed penalties, missed plays, missed offsides that go by in the course of a game is just outright embarrassing. Now, I know you can look around at other leagues and say, well, the officiating is poor there, the officiating is poor there. Maybe so, but I feel like over the past few seasons, the argument more so would just be that the NHL's has gotten significantly worse. I feel like we were never really in a position where it was this common for referees to be complained about and missed calls or things that were called and shouldn't have been called to be discussed after the fact, or seeing coaches berate referees at the rates that they are this season. The reason Sheldon Keefe gets to that point where he wants to go bananas and blow a gasket on the referee is because of a consistent pattern of poor officiating. It's not a one-off incident where Sheldon Keefe went, hey, you're an idiot for this one thing, I'm going to go nuts. This is a build-up over the course of the season, over the course of the past couple of seasons of just negligence in the referee position. They have been very poor. They have not been doing their jobs very well, and it has led to a tough situation for coaches and players alike. So Sheldon Keefe going off, I think, is justified, and my answer to it would just be the officiating needs to be better. The officiating really needs to be better. You can't have a guy getting high-sticked that blatantly, bleeding, and needing repair work done in the dressing room during the game, after the game, and for it to just go completely unnoticed. There has been a lot, both ways, that has gone missed or has been officiated improperly, but the officiating is just not good enough. So that's my first point, but Sheldon Keefe getting the fine, whatever. It is what it is. take the fine, you move on, you did it. It's against the code of conduct of the NHL. You take your fine and run away with that one. I think it's okay. Second one here, I think this one is stupid. Now, it's not that they didn't break the rules. Of course, they did. That's why they got fined. But I think the rule itself is one of the stupidest things you'll ever see. And again, this one isn't just about the Leafs. This is straight up about any team around the NHL and the travel ban that is placed essentially during the holiday season. The NHL mandates holidays or days off during the NHL season, and of course, those fall over the holiday period. The teams are not allowed to do team activities, which this incident would fall under during that time off, during that allotted spot in the season where you cannot do anything. Now, this one in particular goes until the 26th. It does not end until midnight, which means that the Leafs couldn't have done anything until the 27th, technically. So they could have either flown out at midnight, or they could have flown out at 5 a.m. They could have flown out at exactly midnight as soon as that 1 minute has passed, but they can't fly out. They can't do anything until the 27th. Well, what the Leafs did was they flew out at 10:30 on the 26th to make sure that they could get to St. Louis ahead of time. This is insane to me. I don't care if it's the Leafs. I don't care if it's the Habs, the Sens, or the Bruins. Name another team that the Leafs fans hate. I don't care if it's them who does it. It is stupid if they get fined for it too. It's stupid if this penalty is applied. I understand them wanting to mandate holidays and time off. Sure, that makes sense. But this is ridiculous. You schedule games for the 27th of December, where teams are going to have to travel, go on the road. It might be a cross-country flight. It could be different time zones. Whatever it is, like this one with the Leafs traveling to St. Louis, you're traveling to a different time zone, and you end up in a situation where you can't fly until the day of the game. The NHL wants a quality product on the ice. The NHL wants to go and put out the best games they possibly can, the best talent at the highest possible level. And you're going to return from a holiday break when teams and guys are already a little bit rusty. Even the officiating maybe led to Sheldon Keefe a little bit rusty, but they can't fly in until the day of the game, and you're trying to promote the highest quality of performance. Let them fly out the day before. Who gives a shit? Let them fly out after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if that's the case. 2 o'clock, I don't really care, but making it so that they can't fly out into the very day of the game, insane to me. And then racking up $100K? I cannot believe it. I cannot believe you'd rack up $100K fine for that nonsense there. Like, that to me is just ridiculous for that to happen, for them to hand out a fine like that, for them to have this rule in place. I don't care what team it is. This should not be a thing. This should really, really not be a thing that anyone, any team in any league should ever have to deal with. Bogus fine. Bogus rule. Just remove it. That's all. It's simple as that. Remove it. All right, enough of the fine talk. We've broken those down. What happened? My thoughts on them. Let's talk about Morgan Rielly returning to action here. It was announced today that Morgan Rielly was skating with Timothy Liljegren, as reported by David Alter. He will be making a return to the lineup against the Coyotes on Thursday. So it'll be interesting to see how this Leafs team manages his return. When TJ Brodie came back into the lineup, it was something that I talked about and something I think they handled well. They eased him in a little bit. It didn't take him a long time to get up to around the minutes that he was playing before, but they didn't just jam him in right away and say, all right, you're back, go play 25 minutes a night. They slowed him in. They played him with different D partners. They started him with Connor Timmins, who he's actually played very well alongside and continues to play well alongside. And they just said, all right, let's figure this out, and then we'll up your workload. It worked pretty seamlessly. TJ Brodie came back in, fit back into the system that the Leafs had built, that they were playing at, and he just kept rolling along with this team. I'm a little bit concerned about the return of Morgan Rielly. Now, that doesn't mean I don't want him back, but what it does mean is that Morgan Rielly was struggling before he went out. He was struggling defensively. He had 16 assists in 20 games played, no goals, but he was at 16 points, 20 games played, so his point production was there, but he was not playing very well defensively. He was noticeably uncomfortable or not in it on a nightly basis. He just wasn't able to get it going and be the normal Morgan Rielly that we had seen last season, where he was exceptional and he got the contract and he earned the contract and he went beyond earning the contract to the point where it was like, wow, this contract is a steal. It hasn't really been there from the defensive side of things this season. Now, he's not the best defensive player in general, but it's really taken a step backwards. He goes out, and this Leafs team goes 12-2-1 without him, and they've played some of the best defensive hockey we've ever seen them play. A full team effort. From the forwards, back through the group of six, through the goaltenders, it has been very strong defensively, limiting opportunities, limiting high danger chances, and ultimately keeping the puck out of the net, allowing them to go on this run and win as many games as they did. 12-2-1 without Morgan Rielly. Rielly is going to need to find a way to come back in and fit in comfortably. He cannot come in and start doing too much and try to prove things. What we've seen out of this Leafs team over the past month, essentially, is that they have excelled at defense with guys just playing their role. Know your role and play your role. Fit within the system. Don't try to be the hero. Don't try to do too much. Just play as Sheldon Keefe has told you to play, and things will work out defensively. We will be able to stop pucks from going in the net. We will be able to create offense from it. We will be able to limit opportunities, and it's been very successful. Morgan Rielly is a little bit of a riverboat gambler, essentially, back on defense there. He's a guy who likes to take chances and run a little bit wild, essentially, and he's not the most responsible defensively. So how is he going to fit back in? Well, obviously, his point production will be a nice add back into the lineup. I don't necessarily think he should go back onto PP1, but unfortunately Rasmus Sandin is out with injury, so Rielly will likely fill into that spot. We'll see how they play it, how they want to fit him in with the minutes when he comes back from this injury. But I just feel like you can't force feed him into this lineup. Rasmus Sandin is obviously around the corner as well, so someone else is going to have to come out when he's ready to go when he comes back. And as it seems right now, with the fact that he was skating alongside Timothy Liljegren, that was the spot that Jordy Ben was in. So it looks like Jordy Ben might be the guy to come out. We'll see how it plays in morning skate ahead of the game on Thursday against the Coyotes. But as of this moment right now, it looks like they're trying to keep Connor Timmins in, which means they like the pair of Brody and Timmins. They are comfortable with the pair of Giordano and Hall. And Timothy Liljegren has been an incredible player so far this season. He has very much excelled and taken steps forward in his game, as has Rasmus Sandin, but Sandin is out with injury right now. So putting Rielly back into that spot that Sandin was in, hopefully they can find some sort of chemistry offensively there, and Timothy Liljegren can continue to play his strong, smart, steady game that he's been playing during this period of time where he's been asked to step up while all these defensemen had gone out. I think Rielly just can't do too much because it'll A, overwhelm Timothy Liljegren, and B, put this Leafs team in a bad spot defensively where they might end up in a hole that they're trying to dig out of because they're trying to make up for the lack of defensive ability from Morgan Rielly if he just jumps back in here, plays an insane amount of minutes, and isn't defensively responsible. He's going to have to come back in and fit into the system. He's going to have to play responsible. He's going to have to take care of the puck, and if he can do those things, this Leafs team will be successful. But there you have it, folks. Leafs fined $100K for traveling the day before that the mandatory pause was lifted. Sheldon Keefe fined $25K for essentially berating an official, and Morgan Rielly makes his return on Thursday night against the Arizona Coyotes. Looks like he will likely fit in alongside Timothy Liljegren. Connor Timmins will stay alongside TJ Brody. Giordano and Hall will stick together. So we keep an eye on that. We'll see what the line situations are in the morning skate ahead of the game against Arizona Coyotes. But outside of that, that is about all the information that we know. A little bit concerning. I feel like Leafs fans have an interesting perspective on Morgan Rielly's return right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure to hit subscribe and like this video as well. You can turn on notifications by clicking that bell so you get notified every time we go live or videos like this are posted. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, keep believing.